Hi, and welcome to Clappia. In this video, we will go through how workflows work in Clappia and how to use different workflow nodes available. Workflows are important if you wish to incorporate your business process flow into your app. For example, if you have made an inventory app and a stock is running low for a certain item, and you would like to receive an email notification reminding you to restock, then Workflows helps you out in automating the process. In this video, I will take an example of an inventory management app to show you how you can use workflows. First, I will create the app from scratch. Once you log into Clappia, click on New App in your dashboard. Here in the Design app, I will create an app for keeping an MIS. Now, if you already have readily available data for stock, then you can bulk upload that data into this app. First, I will give a name to this app over here called Inventory MIS. Then I'll click on Add Section and give a name to this section on the right hand panel over here under Section Name called SKU Master. Next, I'll click on Add Field and use some of the pre-coded blocks available here to capture data. I'll click on the single line text for capturing item code. So on the right hand panel, I will change the label to item code. Add another field, another single line text for capturing item type. Then another field for capturing the brand. Next would be price. Next, I'd like to capture current stock. And then finally the unit. For this, I will use the drop down block, change label to unit, and under the options, I will list them one after the other. Click on Save. So this is just a base structure of an app to maintain the SKU master. You can always change it according to your requirements. If you wish to know how each of the pre-coded blocks work, then you can check out our other videos on them. Now once you have finished creating your app structure, you can either go to step 2 for configurations or directly jump into step 3, which is workflows. As I had mentioned earlier, workflows is important if you want to incorporate your business process flow into your apps. So when I click on Start, you can see that there are various workflow nodes available for you to use. Now, for example, for every submission made, you would like an email notification to be sent out to various teams. So you can simply click on the email node, and then for every node, you get a right-hand panel to configure. The email node configuration is similar to just sending out a simple email. So under to email addresses, you can type the various email addresses to whom you wish to send the email notification. You can also list email addresses under CC. Next, we have subject and then body. Next, if you have configured PDFs, you can enable this option to include them here. Or if you want to send attachments that you might have in your system, you can drag and drop them here as well. Once you save it, your configuration for this particular email node will be saved. So anytime a submission is made, it will be sent out to this email address with the subject and the body. Similarly, if you want to have other channels for communication, if your organization uses Slack for communication, then you can click on the Slack node, and on the right hand panel, again you can configure it to send out notifications to Slack channels. So under Slack channel, you can give the webhook for a particular channel that you might have, and then again subject and body. The same way, we also have MS Teams. So if you want to send out notification on Teams, you can do that as well. You can also send out WhatsApp messages or SMSs. Now if you have external sources or applications to which you would like to maintain a database as well, you can use the REST API node. On the right hand panel, you can simply configure the REST API node by giving in the API for that external platform, by giving the server URL of the external platform, then give the query string, headers if any, and then the body in JSON format. Now let's see how to combine multiple workflow nodes. Now for example, if your stock is running low and you would like the system to check whether the stock is less than 10, and only then would you like email notifications to be sent out to relevant people. For that, you can use the if condition node. The if condition node works similar to spreadsheet logic as we share a similar library. But in place of cell numbers, we have the concept of variable names which you can call out over here. So as I mentioned, if the current stock is less than 10, then send an email notification. So I'll call out the variable for the current stock, which we had over here in the design app. You can see the current stock variable. So under condition, I will type in @ current stock less than 10. Click on save. then send email notification. You can either click on the plus symbol and add an email node over here, or I can simply push this email node underneath this if node. So I'll click on this node on the right hand panel. At the bottom, you have parent step. So I'll click on this and change it to if. Save it and it moves under the if node. So now when a submission is made to the app, it'll trigger the workflow. If you have configured your Slack channel or your REST API, it'll send out notifications or it'll push data, and then it'll check whether the current stock is less than 10. If it is, then it'll send out an email notification. Now, you can also use the wait node if you would like to wait for a certain amount of time to send out notifications. So once you click on the wait node, you can see wait type. Once you click on this, there are two types, wait for and wait till. If you select wait till, you can select the date and time at which you can send out notifications. So if you want to wait for a number of days and then send out notification, you can configure that over here. If you want to wait maybe for a couple of minutes, then you can use the wait for option, and under wait for seconds, you can give in the amount of seconds. So if it is 2 minutes, it will be 120 seconds. So if I were to move the if node under the wait node, so I'll change the parent step for the if node to wait. So when the workflow is triggered, it'll wait for 2 minutes, check if the condition that whether the current stock is less than 10, then send out email notification. You can also set reminder notifications. So if the first email notification has gone through, but the stock has not yet been replenished, then you can send out another email notification. For that process, you can use the repeat node. The repeat node is useful for setting the number of reminders. So if you want to send out 3 reminder emails, then on the right hand panel, you can set number of times as 3, and under break condition, again over here you will be able to implement logic and condition. If you mention it as false, this means that no more reminders will be set. So first I will bring the wait node and the remaining steps under the repeat node. In this flow, you will be able to send reminder emails. So it will send 3 reminder mails if the stock is still low. Now say only 1 email notification has been sent and the stock has been replenished. It will check for that condition over here in the if node and then break that condition so that no more emails will be sent. And since it says wait for 2 minutes, it will send the reminder every 2 minutes until the stock is either replenished or 3 emails have been sent out. So in this way, you can combine several workflow nodes to automate your process. Now there are other workflow nodes that can be used as well. You can also push mobile notifications instead of sending out emails, or you can send out both. So under the if node, I can just simply select the plus symbol and click on mobile notification. Again, you can configure the subject and body. For the users, it will only send out the notification to the owners of the submission. So whoever is making the submission and that particular stock is running low, they will be notified. Mobile notifications will be sent through if you have downloaded the Clappia app onto your mobile phone. We have other nodes as well, such as create submission or edit submission. Let's check out these uses. For this, I will create another app and then explain the use for create submission and edit submission. I'll go back to my dashboard and click on new app. This second app that I will be creating will be for stock entry made by the employees. So if any new stock is coming in, they can enter the details in this app, or if a new product has come which is not there in the inventory MIS app, they can enter the details over here as well. And the details entered in this app should get reflected in the inventory MIS app. So we will be interlinking this app to the first inventory MIS app that we had created. First, I'll give a name to the app as stock entry. Click on add section. Give a section name as item update. Now since I want to update the data from this app to the inventory MIS app, I will need similar fields. So I'll click on add field and then use the get data from other apps. On the right hand panel, I will change the label to select item. The data source app will be the inventory MIS app. When I click on the selection fields, you can see all the fields that is there in the inventory MIS app, and I will select the fields with which I want to search the items with. So it could be item code and item type, or maybe even brand. Based on the search criteria, I will pull certain fields from the inventory MIS app. So it will be item code, type, brand, price, current stock, unit. Click on save. So this will give me all the details of the item selected from the inventory MIS app. Now if I want to update the item, I will add another field, click on single line text and change the label to new stock. Similarly, I will create another section in case a new product has arrived, whereas the first section are for those items that are already existing in the Inventory MIS app. So I'll change the section name to New Item, and then similar to the Inventory MIS app, I will add the fields. I have added all the fields over here. Now I'll add another section at the beginning of this app so that the employee can either select item update or new item. So I'll click on add section, give a section name as select, click on add field, use the single selector block, change the label to select, and give the options as the section name, which is item update and new item. Save. Now click on the item update section, go to the advanced option and give a display condition. Under display this section if. To understand how sections work and how display conditions work, you can check out our video on sections. It gives a detailed description about how it works. So over here, if the employee selects item update, then in the app only the item update section should appear. But if they select new item, then the new item section should appear. So here I will type in @select equals to item update. Now I'll click on the second section, which is new item. Go to the advanced option. Under display this section if, I will type in @select equals to new item. Now let's go to the app home, where the app is live and ready to use. So now you can see the other two sections are not visible in this app. If I select item update, only this section appears. Now when I click on new item, the new item section appears. Since new item and item update have fields identical to the Inventory MIS app, so any new stock that is coming in or new item, these changes should be reflected in the Inventory MIS app. To do this, we use workflows. So I'll go to Design App and then go to Workflows. Now say if it is an item update, where an item already exists in the Inventory MIS app and you just want to update the stock. For this, we can use the Edit Submission node. On the right hand panel, under Select App, I will select the Inventory MIS app since I want to make edits to this particular app. Now to know which submission to actually alter, you will need to correlate a field from this particular app to the Inventory MIS app. So when I click on Add Filter and then select a field, you can choose the field from the Inventory MIS app to correlate with the stock entry app. Item codes are generally unique for every item, so this will be very helpful in correlation. And underneath this, you will have to type in the variable of the item code from the stock entry app. So that will be @item code. Since the only change will be the stock, under set field values, you can make the edits. So I'll click on add field. From the Inventory MIS app, the current stock would need to be changed and whatever stock is entered in the stock entry app should be added to the existing stock in the Inventory MIS app. So for that, I'll type in @current stock. The one shaded in gray is the variable for the Inventory MIS. So I'll select current stock plus new stock, which is the field in the stock entry app. Now I'll save this. Now let's see how this works. I will first make an entry in the Inventory MIS app. I'll fill in the details of this app really quickly to make a submission. Now I'll click on Submit. To view all your submissions, you can go to the Submissions tab, click on any submission and a right-hand panel will appear capturing all the details. Now if you already have readily available data and you do not want to manually enter it like I just did, then you can always bulk upload that data. To know how bulk upload works, you can check out our video on that as well. All you have to do is click on this link that says download this blank spreadsheet. Just enter in all the details under the relevant headers and then simply upload it over here. Let's check how the Edit Submission node works. So I'll go to Stock Entry and go to App Home. Now say you've got some fresh stock of that item which we just entered. So I can select Item Update, then under Select Item, click on the submission. You can see all that submission details has appeared over here. Now for example, if the new stock is maybe 10, I will just enter that over here. The submission can be viewed under the Submissions tab as well. And this would have triggered the Edit Submission workflow. So if I go back to my Inventory MIS app and then click on Refresh, you can see that the current stock now says 30. So in this way, you can maintain an MIS, keeping this particular app untouched after entering all the available items. And then anytime you get a fresh batch of stock, you can update that in the stock entry app and use workflows to make changes to the Inventory MIS app. Now in this Inventory MIS app, we have configured the workflow to send reminder emails if the stock is less than 10. So let me make a submission for this particular example to see if we receive an email notification. I should receive that notification in 2 minutes as I have configured the wait node for that. So I'll go to App Home and then make a submission. I'll click on submit. Now when I go to the submissions tab, the current stock now says 5. This should trigger the workflow to check if the current stock is less than 10, and if it is, it should send an email notification. Since I gave my email address, I will go to my inbox and check that out. As you can see, I have received a reminder notification email with the subject and body. Now if I wait for 2 more minutes, I would receive another email notification since I have not changed the stock level. So I'll just go back here. And you can see the reminder email has been sent again. So in this way you can set the time or date in which to send reminder emails. These email notifications will be sent as no reply. If you would wish to change this to another name or to maybe your organization name, you can change the SMTP settings in the Clappia app. You can check out our other video on that as well. Now let's check out some more workflow nodes. I'll go to the stock entry app, design app, and then workflows. Now we saw how the edit submission works for updating items in the inventory MIS. Let's see how to create a new submission in the inventory MIS if a new product has arrived in which there is no entry in that app. So I'll click on the start node, and first I will need to check whether it is actually a new item or if it is an item update. For that we need to use the if node to check that condition. So over here I will type in @select equals to new item. Now if it is a new item, before creating a submission, you would first like to have an approval from the relevant team. For that, we can have the approval node. The approval node is very useful for approving or rejecting submissions, based on which you can trigger other processes. For the approval node, you will need to give statuses for your submissions. So let's see how to do that. I'll go to step 2, which is configuration, go to status, and on the right hand panel, I can add status. So I can give approved or rejected, and click on save. There is a detailed description on how to use the approval node, especially if you have multi-level of approvals. So I'll go back to workflows, click on the approval node. Under approvers, you will have to give in the email addresses of all the approvers. Under allowed approval statuses, I will select approved and rejected. So if we have multiple levels of approval like L1 approved and rejected or L2 approved and rejected, based on that level of approval, you can select the statuses. Then you can set your subject and body. For now, I'll just leave it as it is. Now, if it is a new item, then it gets sent for approvals. If the submission has been approved, then create a new submission in the Inventory MIS app. So first you will need to check whether it is approved or rejected. So again, give an if node over here. Under condition, I will check whether the status is approved. So @status equals to approved. If it is approved, then create a new submission in the Inventory MIS app. Click on create submission. Under select app, I will be creating the submission for the Inventory MIS. These are all the fields that are there in the Inventory MIS app. So for item code, I will have to type in the variable which is there in the stock entry and correlate it with the item code of the Inventory MIS. So here I will just simply type in @item code. These variables are from the stock entry app. @item type, brand. Now you can see that there are 2 brands or makes. So if you wish to know which is which, you can go back to the app and check. As you can see under the new item section, the brand or make variable is this. So I can select it appropriately over here, as well as the price. Over here you can see if I go back to the stock entry app, the item code and item type variable is different. So I'll just change it over here. So do ensure that you do type in the correct variable names. Click on save. You can also give another condition to check whether the approval is rejected. So you can give another if node. Over here you can type in @status equals to rejected. If it is rejected, maybe you can give a WhatsApp notification to the relevant teams or maybe an SMS. If you're using the SMS node, you can type in the relevant phone numbers, and then under select template, we have a set template that you can use to send out messages. If your required template is not available in this list, you can always request for a new template. Similarly, if you want to send WhatsApp notifications, you can give in the WhatsApp numbers over here and then select the template. Again, if it is not available, you can request new template. So now let's see how to create a new submission in the Inventory MIS app. I'll go to App Home, Since we are creating a new submission for a new product, I will select new item and then fill in the details over here. Now I'll click on submit. Again, you can view your submissions under the submissions tab. Now let's check the Inventory MIS app to see if the submission has been created over there as well. As you can see, the submission has not been entered. That is because if we go to the workflows, it'll check whether it is a new item, which it is, and then we have the approval node. So before creating a submission, it would have sent an approval email to my inbox. So let me just check that. You can see over here I have received an email that says submission pending for approval. When I click on this link, it'll redirect me to the submissions page for me to approve or reject the submission. So if I want to approve this stock, in the right hand panel at the top, I can click on the status, select approved and then click on update. Now that I have approved this particular submission, the workflow will check if it is approved and then create the submission in the Inventory MIS app. So let me just check that. I'll click on refresh and you can see the third submission has been entered. Do keep in mind the approval node and the email node work slightly differently. The approval node can be used to change the status of every submission. So in this way you can use workflows to automate the process of your app and even interlink apps. Now let's say for example in the stock entry app, when a user fills in the details of the app, it can happen that they can make a mistake on submission. So let's say they select item update and they receive stock of an existing item in the Inventory MIS app, but the new stock entered is incorrect. So in that case, they can always go to the submissions tab, click on a submission, and then they can make the changes over here. But if they make the change over here, it will not be reflected in the Inventory MIS app according to the workflows that we have configured. So for example, if I were to change the new stock to 20 and click on save, it should be that the Inventory MIS app should change the submission for this particular item. If I click on save, let's check the Inventory MIS app. You can see the current stock has not yet changed. For this, we go to the design app and under workflows, we have something called edit submission flow. So all the workflow nodes that we have added over here comes under new submission flow. If any changes are made in the submissions tab, and you need to trigger some kind of automation process based from the submissions tab, then we go to the edit submission flow. And here you can give the edit submission node and give the same type of configuration as we did over here. Here we have done current stock plus new stock, correlating it with the item code. The same configurations will be done in the edit submission flow for the edit submission node. So under select app, I will select Inventory MIS. I'll correlate it with the item code @item code. The current stock needs to be changed in the Inventory MIS app. So I will select current stock @current stock plus @new stock. So the same type of configuration and save this. Now if I go back to the submissions tab, click on a submission, I'll be making the change to this particular item. So just to make sure, this item in the Inventory MIS app, the current stock is 30. So here I will change the new stock to say 30. Click on save. Go to the Inventory MIS app, refresh the submission, and you can see the current stock now says 60. So in this way, you can also rectify any errors made in submission. Similarly, in the workflows tab, we have review submission flow. In this case, if any changes are made to the submission status in the submissions tab, then you can give the appropriate nodes for configuration here and it will be reflected in the Inventory MIS app. So in submissions, if I were to change the status to rejected, then the workflow will not be triggered. Then to trigger the workflow, you will need to configure it under the review submission flow. So in this way, you can use the workflow nodes under different submission flows to incorporate your business process flow into your app. This automation process will also work if you are using the mobile app. You can download the Clappia app from Play Store or App Store, and once you have created the app structure and configured your workflow, you can start using the mobile app instantly, and workflows will be triggered accordingly, just as we have seen here in the web version. If you have any queries regarding these configurations or any other feature in Clappia, you can request support by clicking on the button over here, or you can email us directly to support@clappia.com and we'll be happy to assist you. Thank you.